Severance is goated. You can ask the questions, is it good? Yep. Is it worth your time? Hell yeah. And I'm here to tell you why you deserve Severance's time, because this shit is a masterpiece. You think your job is soul crushing? Well, imagine the best part of your day, which I assume is being able to leave, is just you waking up to start it all over again. This is the concept of the show, but does it deserve all the hype, or is it just another high concept show that doesn't really create a good adaptation? Well, yeah, that's why I'm making this video, because it's the best shit you've never seen. The show takes place at Lumen Industries, a mysterious corporation where employees undergo a severance procedure. This surgically splits their consciousness into two separate identities. Their innie, the work version that only exists to see the office, and their outie, who has no idea what happens at work, but they can do whatever they want outside of work. This show is full of mystery, insane twists, and some of the most intense finales I've personally ever seen. But it's also a slow burn, and that's not for everyone. So I want to break down what works, what doesn't, and whether or not Severance is worth your time. For the first chunk of this video, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers, because if you know the reveals or twists going into the show, in my opinion, it basically ruins the entire watching experience. But after that, I'm going all in because this show is a masterpiece of direction and writing. As a concept, it seems like it could be a reasonable solution to the work-life balance, but as soon as you're introduced to the innies, you realize these workers are essentially prisoners. Their innies never get to leave, their entire existence is just the office, and worse, they don't even know why they're doing what they do. The office tasks are meaningless, the rules are bizarre, and you know something about Lumen is off. We just don't know it yet. The first thing that grabs you in this show is the atmosphere. This show does an incredible job of immersing the viewer because it's so incredibly well directed. From the very first episode, the cinematography and the shots make the Lumen offices look like a corporate horror movie. Stark white walls, maze-like hallways, and that eerie 70s style design is so sterile and lifeless that it becomes unsettling, almost like the office itself is alive. Every choice here adds to the unease. The long, slow camera movements, the cold, unnatural lighting, even the score, it's this weird mix of calming and disturbing. It all makes you feel exactly like the severed employees, just trapped. The shots in the show are just gorgeous. So many shots only show half the screen showing, emulating that this person is only living and can only live half of their life right now, and that's all they see. And of course, a concept like this only works if the cast sells it, and they absolutely do. Adam Scott playing as Mark might be his best performance I've seen. He plays both versions of Mark so differently that you can feel the pain of his outie and the confusion of his innie. The way he subtly shifts between emotions is just incredible. Britt Lower as Helly, her character is just the audience's introduction to the severed world, and she instantly makes you care. She's the most relatable character in the show because she's the first person we meet from the opening scene, and the only person that as soon as she wakes up, she doesn't just blindly follow these robot-ass people and listen to their rules. She's reasonably like, no, what the fuck? Why would I listen to you random people when I don't know any of you? I don't know where I am, and I have no idea who I even am myself. John Turturro as Irving is just acting his absolute ass off in this show, and you can tell because the more time you spend with him, you just feel for him when he gets his emotional moments in this show. He's one of those characters that we truly care and feel for in this show. And I can't talk about the characters without mentioning Tremel Tillman as Mr. Milchick. Every single scene he's in, he just brings that full of life energy, that oomph, if you will. His presence in the show is oddly comforting, even though he's one of our main antagonists. He's giving it everything he's got, and it just shows. I also want to give credit to the writing in the show. It doesn't get much better than this for a show that largely is about interpersonal relationships. When the writing is this good, and you get a good set of actors playing the roles, the line deliveries in the show are just so powerful. And that is credit due to everyone working on the show. The entire crew deserves all the love in the world. They've created created such a masterpiece. Now, Severance isn't a perfect show. If I had to make a comment, that's not necessarily a complaint. It's just that a lot of people in 2025 talk about how their attention span has dwindled down to the size of a bean. So I could see people thinking the show is slow and maybe tuning out in the middle of episodes that they aren't hooked or just aren't interested in the concept of the show for whatever reason. This show is also pretty weird in some areas, so it's definitely not for everybody. Also, the show raises a ton of questions, and while it answers some, it leaves plenty hanging, which is a great thing since we're gonna get more seasons undoubtedly, but I just don't want it to become a Lost situation where there's a bunch of questions introduced and never answered, and since the show is finished, but we can only theorize for the rest of time. And I know that this show is on Apple TV, which like 5 people have, but it's seriously so worth it to use a free trial or spend the $10 or whatever it is to watch this show for a month. It's just one of those shows that make you think a lot about it. After finishing an episode, or hell, finishing seasons 1 and 2, I was thinking about this show for days afterwards, to where I couldn't even get it out of my head. I just constantly wanted to rewatch the show, which shows its impact that it's made. So, is Severance worth watching?
Yes, how many times do I have to say it?
It's unique, it's unsettling, and it sticks with you long after the credits roll. If you're into psychological thrillers and slow burn mysteries, this show is a must watch. That's about it for non-spoilers, so this is your warning. Come back to this video after you've caught up with the show. You've been warned. Okay. Starting out with season 1, Gemma being revealed to not only be alive, but a severed slave for Lumen is one of the few times I've audibly reacted to my TV when Mark was taping her photo together. This twist raises way more unsettling questions about Lumen's control over its employees and the true nature of the severance procedure. Also, the finale's climax sees Dylan activating the overtime contingency, allowing the innies to briefly take control in the outside world. It was just a perfect final episode for season 1. This pivotal moment exposes the fragile boundaries between their dual existences and just sets the stage for escalating tensions and assumptions for season 2. The revelation that Helly is actually Helena Egan, daughter of Lumen's CEO, is probably the second craziest thing in this entire show. It underscores the depths of Lumen's influence and the complexities of her rebellion against the very institution her family controls. And getting into season 2 spoilers, the twist with Helena posing to be Helly I found to be quite easy to solve just as soon as Helena lied in the beginning about the gardener and whatever else she saw. It just didn't surprise me, but regardless, it was such an interesting play on the characters. This season with Irving ended up getting fired and Annie Mark developing the first trauma-inducing experience of his life that I would assume he's gone through. I also think that episode 7 in season 2 with Gemma and Mark's backstory was easily the episode where emotions hit the audience the most. The way this episode's story is told is so realistic, from being sweet to becoming tragic. It was just so heart-wrenching. And it only made me root for Mark and Gemma to be able to reunite more than I already was. I just love how they make you care for both of Mark's relationships. It creates such an interesting conflict that even I don't know what the right answer is right now. And I think that the finale of this season is probably one of the best episodes of television I've ever watched, being how everything flows. It sucks that episode 8, the Cobell episode, kills a lot of the momentum, because this would have been one of the best endings to a TV season of all time. But the conversation between both Marks was honestly one of my favorite scenes in the show, because it just shows how hard it would be to actually make Severance work after Lumen is supposedly going to be gone by the end of the show, I assume. I just find that concept so interesting, and I can't wait to see more conversations like that. And the entire episode after that is just so fun. The elevator switch with Outie Mark and Gemma turning to Innie Mark and Miss Casey was just hilarious. And for Innie Mark to make the decision to stay with Helly, as much as it hurts and gives me literal kidney stone levels worth of pain, just makes the most sense for Innie Mark. Like, I can't blame him. Why would he even consider consider going out there after what he's been put through his whole life and how Audi Mark put him in this position in the first place. I just think it was a perfect way to wrap up season 2 with leaving so many questions. I just think this show is a masterpiece, and I know it's getting a lot of traction right now, but it needs more because it's seriously going to end up for me as one of my favorite shows of all time if they keep this pace up. I'd also want to get into some theories I have for the show going forward later on, maybe in another video or something, but that's about all I got for Severance right now. I'll be back for this once season 3 comes out, which could be forever, but as long as it comes out, I don't care. It'd also mean a lot if you could subscribe or leave a like, I guess.